As I've said in my review of The Card Counter, every once in a while a movie will come along that not only tells a great story, but also takes a risk. And today we have Sound of Freedom, the latest film by Angel Studios. It was made by Angel Studios, and if you don't know who Angel Studios is, they are a company specifically designed to make Christian movies. And I do want to give my thanks, and I do want to salute them for making a movie that not only tells a good story, but also takes a risk. In this case, dealing with the theme of human trafficking, which, as of currently, it is a $150 billion business, and is considered one of the worst crimes in human history. It's about as bad as slavery, if not worse. Now, I will be talking about some heavy themes in this video, so viewer discretion is advised, but I do think that this is a movie that is worth seeing. This is the true story of Tim Ballard, who worked for the Department of Human Security for 12 years, and his job primarily specializes in arresting perpetrators and pedophiles all across the country. One day, he was going over a particular case, and what he saw, which I'm not going to describe, hurt him so much that he did a complete 180. He is said to have asked himself in that moment, why are we capturing the perpetrators when we should be saving the kids? And so he goes on a mission to infiltrate the perpetrators so that way he can arrest them later and then rescue the kid. So it starts off with this one particular person, and then this led him to find a brother and sister who were both separated. He was able to find the brother primarily thanks to him doing border patrol between the US and Mexico border, but the sister was a lot more difficult to find. How it started was that both of them were asked to participate in a talent scout. That obviously proved to be wrong. So they were both separated, put on a cargo ship, and they were sent to Colombia. He is now trying to rescue them. Even though he was able to find the brother, he is on a quest to find the sister. He comes across this guy who is referred to as Verazzo, also known as Batman. No, that was his nickname. They infiltrate this trafficking rig that's run by this woman and this one other guy. Their whole plan is to infiltrate them at the soonest possible moment so that they can get her. It's proven to be a lot more difficult because what he's doing is very risky. This is a movie that really tells an interesting story, primarily because of the fact that, I don't know all the specific details, but based on what I was able to gather was that he worked for the department for 12 years, and it was only until he focused his efforts on human trafficking. See, that's the thing. Tim Ballard, he did what very few people would do, which is to put the innocent first. And he knew that this would be, his wife was in support of it, his boss was in support of it until they forced him to back out, and then he said he would quit his job, which did happen. It's very important to understand that Angel Studios they're a Christian company. Before this, they did a movie called His Only Son, which was the story of Samson from the Bible, in which he was told by God to, particularly in the Old Testament, he was asked by God to kill his son, and then God told him not to do it at the last minute. And that was also a success. This has become a success for a completely different reason. Primarily because, think about it, for the last several months we've had a sea of just noise. Unnecessary remakes and cash grab sequels that are soulless, that they have no heart or wit to them. We've got another Transformers movie. Pixar is flopping with Elemental for obvious reasons. And now we have another Mission Impossible movie. So we've had a lot of just noise and uninteresting films. There just isn't a whole lot to say about them. But this one is worth talking about primarily because not only tells a good story, not only tells an untold story, but it also takes a risk, taking a subject matter that was left largely in the dark and is being brought into the light. The trafficking issue has been very much a private matter, and here's a movie that tells the story like it is. It's also not pushy. It doesn't push a message out like other Christian films I've seen. Share with Pictures doesn't do it very often, but they do it sometimes. Here, the message is only pushed once, and it's in one particular scene. It's a scene where he's talking with Ruozo, whatever, and he's saying that like his son, hurt his feelings, saying that he was a disgrace, and the father thought of suicide, and he backed out, and he found life worth living, and he asked him like, "What do you do it for?" And Tim, played by Jim Caviezel, who you may know for playing Jesus in Passion of the Christ, he simply said, "God's children are not for sale," which is a very good message. It's only said twice in the movie, once in this scene and during the end credits. We'll get there. He believes in hope, that the innocent can be free again, out of the darkness, out of a living hell, and to be reunited with their parents, and it's a very rewarding feeling. The cinematography is great. Every shot is done well. I will admit, I think whoever did the cinematography did a really good job. The music, while not memorable, at the very least fit each of the scenes perfectly. And Jim Caviezel's acting was really spot on. This leads me into another aspect that it did so well, is that it doesn't show any of the acts, and I don't want to talk about it, but Tim Ballard said, "No, don't show it. Do not show it. Jim Caviezel's reactions is all we need," and they did a good job. Everything happens behind closed doors. You don't see anything. You do see them getting separated and stuff, but that's really about it. Anything disturbing that happens off camera. It's kind of like how when I saw Till that came out last year about Emmett Till, and they didn't show the lynching act. Because I feel like if you're going to tell this story to a mainstream audience, it's important to have an idea of what the topic is about, while simultaneously not showing everything. And I think it was really smart in doing that. Not only that, but Jim Caviezel's reactions to the aftermath is all that we need. Sometimes he cries, sometimes he has this expression on his face of shock and disbelief. You feel it, for sure, you feel it. It really has a powerful message, and it's really well done. However, even though I am singing my praises, and even though I implore you to go see this film, there are a couple issues with it, and it's more of a historical errors. It's more of a historical accuracy. So, toward the end, in the third act, Tim has to rescue the daughter from this island on Colombia. Nobody can get there because it's patrolled by these, I don't want to give too much away, but it's guarded by rebels, and they have machine guns and everything, and nobody can go there, so they pose as doctors, and he goes in to infiltrate and try and find her. Well, that did happen, but on a completely different case, which might throw you off a bit at the inaccuracy of that. Like great, we just have this whole climax, and it's really well done, and it didn't even happen. By this point, you are interested in whether she'll get rescued or not. Oh, and another inaccuracy is that the conversation between him and his wife at one point, it had a completely different wording. It was completely different wording. It didn't happen in that way. And lastly, he didn't kill anybody. Without giving too much away, he does kill somebody in self-defense. He never killed anybody. So that part was just no. When I saw this movie, I was literally by myself in a crowd of maybe 100 people, and we were all kind of crammed in this one theater. And during the credits, yes, I will get there. And during the credits, Jim Caviezel comes on screen and he talks about how serious the subject matter is, and how it's not about him, it's not about Tim, it's about them. They are the victims. They are the storytellers. Without them, it would not have even been possible. It was very important to tell their story. And actually, he saved not only 54 kids in those two, but he also managed to save 120 more. And Tim was able to go up to Congress and pass a law or a bill that states better support for these kind of situations. And then Jim Caviezel says to invite people to see this movie and to scan this QR code. So there was this QR code on the screen, and he was saying that pay it forward, buy tickets for anybody you know, give them free tickets so that they can see this movie. And there was a row, I was in like one of the lower rows, so all the seats were filled up. I actually looked behind me to like see like how they were reacting to this movie, and I saw some people who were just stunned in disbelief. And when Jim Caviezel put the QR code on screen and told people to pay it forward, there were 3 people in a row in front of me, literally grabbing their phones, taking a picture of the screen, and buying tickets for their friends. And I was just thinking, like, people do that? That's how much people were impacted by this movie, that they were willing to share this movie, buy tickets for their friends, and ask people to see this movie. And I encourage all of you to see this movie. It has a really excellent story, it's decently shot, it's well acted by Jim Caviezel. If I have one other complaint, it would be the acting on the supporting cast. So the supporting cast, all of the pedophiles and all of the perpetrators act the same. They're almost laughing like they're drunk half the time, and they're so maniacal that it was hard to really believe them. Even a woman was involved in it. I'm not sure who this woman was, but she had better acting than all the men, because all of them acted almost cynical and diabolical. Other than that, this movie, even though it's not perfect, the message is very clear. The message of the film is very clear, and I encourage all of you to go check this out. It takes a risk and does a very good job at it. I'm now interested in seeing what Angel Studios have to offer next, because it seems like they are on a roll telling meaningful stories. So I salute to you, Angel Studios, for making a bold movie and getting people's attention. This movie is crushing mainstream cinema right now, and for good reason. I still want to give support to those independent filmmakers that take risks and do a good job at it. I give this movie an 8 out of 10. It is worth your time. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, because of course it's talking about a very serious subject matter, but its message, its acting, particularly by Jim Caviezel, and his intentions are good, about how in times of darkness and an underground world of darkness, there is that one person that shines on the darkness to abolish it one case at a time, and to do good in the world.
Hear that? That's the sound of freedom.
I do apologize if this wasn't my typical type of video, but I wanted to get my thoughts out on this movie as soon as possible. So, thank you for watching, and until next time, see you later.